Good evening. It's now 6 p.m. and the November 4th meeting of the Dublin San Ramon Services District Board of Directors is called to order. Please join me in the pledge of the flag.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Duarte?
Here.
Director Von Heater-Leopold?
Here.
Director Govinda Rao?
Here.
Vice President Halkett?
I'm here.
President Goel?
Present. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4, special announcements and activities. Item 4A, new employee introductions.
Good evening, President Goel, members of the board. My name is Corinne Ferreira. I'm a Senior Management Analyst in the Operations Department, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to Michelle Rodriguez. She is our Administrative Assistant 2 in the Field Operations Division. She started with the district on October 27th. She comes to us most recently from the city of Milpitas. She spent the last 2 years there, and she supported the city manager and assistant city manager at the city of Milpitas. So she's used to working in an environment where customer service is the priority. So that aligns really well with field operations. As you know, field operations is responsible for water distribution and wastewater collection. And so with 22 positions, including Michelle's in that division, they are the largest division. And they have a major focus on customer service. So Michelle's role, because most of the group in that division are out in the field, her role is very critical in just maintaining administrative functions for that division. So I've really enjoyed getting to know Michelle over the last week, particularly hearing about her puppy and her cat and her daughter. And I'm really looking forward to welcoming her to the operations administrative team. Yeah, just say
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello. This isn't nerve-wracking at all.
We don't bite.
Oh, I know. That's great. Thank you all for having me. It's been really exciting to start. I'm on my second week, and I made it, like I was telling Jan. So I'm really excited to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
So question though, was it puppy, cat, and then daughter in that order?
No. Got her first. She trumps all of them. Yeah, she's going to be 21 next month.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Months.
No, years old. I wish. I ask her all the time to be a baby again.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome.
All right. Moving on to item 5, public comment. At this time, those in the audience are encouraged to address the board on any items of interest that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and not already included on tonight's agenda. Comments should not exceed 5 minutes. Are there any speaker cards from the members of the public?
I have no speaker cards.
And seeing a ton of public out there, I'll assume none. Moving on to item 6, agenda management.
Staff recommends that we take the closed session, item 10A, out of order before the consent calendar. And if the board concurs, we will move to the GM conference room.
Do I have any opposition? Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and, adjourn to closed session? Or how do we say that?
Yeah, what's the right word?
That's right. All right. With that, I got my official. Okay, so please put your mics on mute. And where are we meeting?
GM conference room.
GM conference room. Thank you so much. board is back in open session. The closed session has concluded. There was no reportable actions taken in closed session. Returning back to our normally scheduled agenda, we'll move back to item 7, the consent calendar. Matters listed under this item are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the board or the public prior to the time the board votes on the motion to adopt. Is there a motion to approve the items under the consent calendar?
Also move.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Director Von Heater Leopold and a second by Director Govinda Rao. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstention? The motion carries unanimous. Moving on to item 8, board business. Item 8A, receive the annual update on drinking water, wastewater, and recycled water regulations. Staff.
All right. Good evening, President Goel, members of the board. I'm Dan Gill, the district's operations director. So as part of the district's fiscal year 26 budget, we consolidated the regulatory function of the district to organize like with like. Part of that move was the creation of a new position, the deputy operations director, regulatory. After a competitive process, we selected Christy Fournier and promoted her a few weeks ago. As you know, Christy comes with a wealth of knowledge in drinking water regulations, having been the district's expert on PFAS, and recently helped complete the public health goal report. And tonight, we'll both be presenting the regulatory update to you. So here's our agenda for the evening. We're going to go over a quick regulatory overview, and then we'll discuss the new and upcoming regulations as they relate to drinking water, wastewater, and recycled water. So we live in a highly regulated field as our services touch all waters, drinking water, wastewater, and recycled. So as part of this update, we'll be touching about half of the regulations you saw on the previous slide. So it's a lot of information, and my hope is that we get through this quickly, and we'll be able to answer any of the questions that you may have as we come along. We will begin with our drinking water system. So our drinking water service area covers 2 cities, the Doherty Valley region of San Ramon and the city of Dublin, as depicted in the light blue in the diagram. Our water is purchased by Zone 7 Water Agency. We average about 8.5 million gallons a day of system demand. We have approximately 27,000 connections serving over 100,000 residents. We have 17 pumping plants, 14 reservoirs, 9 pressure zones, and 343 miles of pipe. Today Today we will begin with an update on the cross-connection control management plan, which we went over during last year's regulatory update. Cross-control regulations are not new. They existed prior to the recent change, and they were only strengthened by the new cross-connection control policy handbook for the purpose of protecting public health from backflow and cross-connection hazards. The cross-connection control policy handbook became effective on July 1st of 2024 and required all public water systems to submit a cross-connection control management plan, which the district submitted before the extended September 1st deadline. As a reminder, last year we talked about how a new residential focus was potentially a huge undertaking because there were over 6,500 residential fire sprinkler systems in need of backflow protection according to the new regulation. Residential fire systems are considered a hazard to drinking water systems because of the stagnant water in them, and if the water were to backflow into the water system, it could lead to contamination. We know now that these fire sprinkler systems may be exempt from the regulation because they could be considered low hazard. We're still awaiting word from the Division of Drinking Water because this is a new development. But if they do decide to include these systems, we have also requested to use our automated meter readers, or the AMI, to detect backflow in real time. So this is what we're going to do with our existing residential customers. For new homes and any remodel that involve plumbing systems, we collaborated with the City of Dublin and the Alameda County Fire District to include a passive purge requirement on their inspection checklist. Essentially, this lessens the hazard of stagnant water in the sprinkler systems by getting water to move and when it's connected to a toilet. So when the toilet flushes, the water is refreshed in the fire sprinkler system. Engineering will work on something similar with the City of San Ramon. It's a little bit more complex with the City of San Ramon as they share their system with East Bay Mud. Christy will continue on with the lead copper rule.
Thank you, Dan. Oh, thank you. First, we're going to start off with the lead and copper rule. This rule was established in June of 1991 by the US EPA under the Safe Drinking Water Act. And it established a treatment technique. For copper, 10% of the samples must not be above the action level for copper, which is at 1,300 parts per billion. For lead, 10% of the samples must not be at above the action level for lead at 15 parts per billion. There are 3 components to compliance. The first involves corrosion control. The lead agency is Zone 7 Water Agency, our wholesaler. They recently conducted a corrosion control study because they had made changes to their surface water treatment plants. The method of control, which is pH adjustment at the surface water treatment plant, was deemed acceptable and still effective. To conduct this corrosion control study, they partnered with the retailers to collect information to verify whether the corrosion control method was effective. In addition to corrosion control, Dublin San Ramon Services District handles the other 2 components. One of them is monitoring. We monitor on a triennial basis, once every 3 years, mainly because of our past historical results are low. The customers are the ones who collect the samples, and the purpose of the collection is to monitor corrosive effects of the water on consumer plumbing. The next component is public education. We are required to publicly notify our customers if we exceed any action level, if our water system exceeds the action level. We also reach out to our participants and send them a letter of their results after the study is complete. And we are required to notify our customers in our annual water quality report. The 2025 lead and copper monitoring period included a revamp of our letter and instructions and survey to our customers. To enhance customer outreach, we partnered with our public information team. There were 30 samples that were required during the sampling event, and all samples were tested were below the action levels for lead and copper. There are some next steps to the lead and copper rule. Due to a population increase of over 100,000 people, it triggers an increase in the number of required samples, so we'll go from 30 samples to 50 samples. In order to meet that requirement, staff will need to survey houses in the service area that meet the lead and copper criteria, and also engage customers to educate them about the program and gauge their interest. In addition to the lead and copper rule, we have the lead and copper rule improvements. On October 30th of 2024, the US EPA published the final lead and copper rule improvements. The lead and copper rule improvements placed additional compliance requirements for DSRSD in the following areas. There are many requirements, but I'm really only going to go over the ones that affect DSRSD. By October of 2024, we needed to complete an initial service line inventory, and we needed to ensure that we had enhanced public notification if our water system exceeded the action level for lead. The next deadline coming up is in October of 2027. We will have to conduct a baseline service line and connector inventory. And the action level for lead will be lowered from 15 parts per billion to 10 parts per billion. In addition to that, we're going to do outreach to elementary and child care facilities to start sampling at those locations. So the good news is that we've completed all of the 2024 milestones, and we have funding to prepare for the 2027 milestones. Now I'll move on to another constituent, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, which is a class of constituents. I thought this time I'd throw a different graphic at you than I have in the past. So it looks a little bit different. It's from the Department of Toxic Substances and Control SAFER program, and it illustrates the different products that contain PFAS that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. There are federal efforts ongoing for PFAS. And here I have the table of the final rule that was adopted. However, there have been communications from the federal administration on upholding PFOA and PFOS MCLs. They are reconsidering the others in this chart or table, and they are also considering extending the compliance period for water systems to comply with the MCLs. However, we are awaiting a proposed rule on the changes. Nothing has come out yet due to the government shutdown. We were expecting to see something sometime in October. In addition to the federal efforts, there are state-specific efforts. The California Division of Drinking Water issued a health advisory for perfluorohexanoic acid and revised health advisory levels for 3 other PFAS on October 29th of 2025. So there's still efforts to add to the list of PFAS for health advisories at the state level. The good news is that our water wholesaler, Zone 7 Water Agency, is ready to meet those MCL levels and health advisory levels. They have begun the initial study for the Mocha well field using ion exchange. Expected costs for that project range from $35 to $50 million. They have completed work at the Stone Ridge facility using ion exchange technology at a cost of $16 million. And they have completed work at the Chain of Lakes well field using the ion exchange technology at about $24 million. In addition to the efforts that I mentioned, DSRSD is focused on legislative efforts that would help support our interests. Assembly Bill 682 out of California was a bill that would ban PFAS in selected consumer products. It was a CASA-backed bill as well, but it was vetoed by Governor Newsom. HR 1267 is the Water Systems PFAS Liability Protection Act, which would protect water systems from CERCLA-related lawsuits. The progress for this particular bill has been delayed due to the federal government shutdown, but these are 2 bills that we have wrote letters in support of. The last constituent that we'll talk about today is hexavalent chromium. Hexavalent chromium was on October 1st of 2024, hexavalent chromium's MCL became effective. And this is an MCL that is specific to California. The reason why it's important is some of Zone 7 Water Agency's groundwater sources have hexavalent chromium present in the groundwater. The current technique for treatment is blending with sources with lower levels of hexavalent chromium and technology-based solutions that are similar to the ones that are used to treat PFAS, like at the Chain of Lakes facility. It has been shown to be effective in treating for hexavalent chromium. And DSRSD will continue to do what it does to notify customers as required, as we just did in the Public Health Goal Report and in the Annual Water Quality Report. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Dan.
Thanks, Christy. We're going to switch over to wastewater regulations. So this is an overview of the wastewater service area along with some quick facts. The wastewater service area includes the cities of San Ramon, Dublin, and contract service for the city of Pleasanton, In total, we have 233 miles of sewer main, 1 lift station. We service approximately 168,000 residents, and we average 12.7 million gallons a day of flow into the wastewater treatment plant. As you know, in 2022, high nutrient levels from wastewater dischargers in San Francisco Bay were found to be a huge contributor to unhealthy levels of harmful algae growth, which, when dies off, the bacteria that result from the decomposition consumed oxygen levels in the water that ended up suffocating the fish population. As a result, the third watershed nutrient permit was adopted in July of 2024 and became effective in October of the same year. It established maximum nutrient loads to the San Francisco Bay, which require wastewater agencies to collectively reduce total inorganic nitrogen discharges by 40% relative to the 2022 levels by October of 2034. So we're given 10 years to comply. The investment to meet the new nutrient limit is substantial, totaling upwards of $10 billion bay-wide. Fortunately, the district is well positioned to comply because we have a recycled water system, and we will focus on water recycling as a means to comply with the nutrient permit requirements. As you can see from the graph, the water recycling season coincides perfectly with the dry season regulatory period. We remove up to 80% of our nutrients during this time. So whatever wastewater we recycle means less water and nutrients to the bay. As you can see from the slide, the total Bay Area total we are trying to achieve is 26,700 kilograms per day, which is the 40% reduction from 2022. Our nutrient permit is regulated at the EBDA outfall. EBDA is the East Bay Discharges Authority and is the combined outfall for the City of Hayward, City of San Leandro, Ora Loma, Union Sand, City of Castro Valley, DSRSD, and the City of Livermore. In the interim, EBDA is looking to achieve 9,000 kilograms per day of nutrient discharge. Last year, EBDA totaled around 7,300 kilograms per day of nutrient discharge, so we're already meeting the interim limits of the permit. EBDA's nutrient final limit in 2034 will be 4,200 kilograms per day. Using EBDA agency nutrient reduction projections, it is estimated that the combined EBDA discharges will be around 5,600 kilograms per day. This is all preliminary information, and a lot can change between now and 2034, but as it stands, we may not reach the 4,200 limit with the existing project list. So EBDA will continue to look at this and update information as nutrient reduction systems come online. Some systems may outperform or underperform what their calculated discharge estimates are. Water recycling will be the district's primary strategy to meet the nutrient reduction requirement. However, reduced wastewater flows due to improved water use efficiency and conservation by customers have decreased recycled water supplies. In order to expand the recycled water system and further decrease discharges to the bay, a long-term supply agreement with Central Sand will be executed sometime next year. This extra supply will hopefully greenlight recycled water system expansion and further reduce our nutrient discharge. In addition to our supply issues, there are a lot of challenges utilizing recycled water to reduce nutrients. Something as simple as the weather can have great impact on our system demands. This summer was a good example of that, where we saw slightly lower demand system-wide because of the milder summer temperatures. But also, an unseasonably wet spring can really have an impact on our demands because when it rains, people don't turn on their sprinklers. We are working with the regional board and EBDA on these challenges and uncertainties, and within the new permit, there are provisions for having a wet month, but we are still working on the details on how that can be applied to our discharge. In addition to expanding our recycled water system, we are also going to look at plant optimization, using our existing infrastructure to maximize nutrient reductions. As an example, in the summer of 2024, we were able to tweak the wastewater process to achieve a 28% nutrient reduction. To further help us plan for the uncertainty, the district awarded Brown and Caldwell the wastewater treatment and biosolids master plan. This planning document will help guide our nutrient management strategy and will also look at more conventional treatment methods using newer technologies. With all of the unique challenges and complexities for the nutrient permit compliance, our roadmap is going to look a lot similar to this. We're going all in on water recycling because that's what we do and that's what we do well. Then we'll cost out and develop treatment upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant, hopefully looking at the ones that utilize our existing infrastructure so we don't put new holes in the ground and pour a bunch of concrete. That will make Steve pretty happy. And then we can explore nutrient trading, which is also an option in the new nutrient discharge permit, partnering with another discharger and capitalizing on maybe a mega project around the Bay Area. I see this as a belt and suspenders approach and us doing our due diligence to ensure we meet the permit requirements of 2034. Okay, now we're going to move on to recycled water regulations. We're going to use our recycled water system to reduce our nutrients on the wastewater side, but there are some updates on the recycled water side. Our recycled water system services DSRSD, East Bay Mud, and the city of Pleasanton. This is the map of the DSRSD service area. We have 471 connections, and last year we delivered 889 million gallons of system demand. There are always a lot of focus on the operation and maintenance of our recycled water system, and for good reason. There's a lot of work involved, and that work is also very tangible. But there are also a lot of administrative items we need accomplished, especially on the compliance side. This is where recycled water inspections come, where the inspection program comes from. These inspections are recycled water system requirement. Some of the history behind our program, we were one of the first recyclers due to the district's innovative nature. We began deliveries in California well before the California General Order came about, and we were probably due for a refresh on our recycled water inspection program to make it more efficient and leverage technology to better administer the program. So there are two types of inspections. There are periodic inspections and use area monitoring. These inspections are essential components of the recycled water program and are designed to ensure safe use of the recycled water. If recycled water systems are improperly connected to potable water systems, non-potable water could enter the drinking water supply and pose a health hazard. One of the goals of the refresh is to evaluate the periodic inspection program to reduce the frequency of inspections at low-risk sites. For example, a low-risk site may not have a potable connection such as streetscapes and medians, and the inspection frequency can be reduced from once a year to maybe every 3 to 5 years. These modifications of our inspection program will help reduce the district's third-party inspection costs, which are currently at $60,000 a year. So, in summary, on the cross-connection control, residential customers may be exempt. And if they aren't, we will be able to use our AMI as a means to monitor backflow. Passive purge requirements will be the new norm for new construction and any remodel that touches the plumbing of residential homes. The National Primary Drinking Water Regulations, California regs, funding is available to prepare new lead and copper rule improvement regulations. We'll continue to partner with other agencies and prepare for new and upcoming regulations. We'll continue to advocate for legislation that aligns with DSRSD interests. On the wastewater side, the recycled water system will be our primary means to meet the nutrient reduction requirements of the new permit. There are planning efforts underway for traditional nutrient reduction technologies, and we may explore nutrient trading with larger agencies if it gets to that. On the recycled water side, we are going through our inspection program, and we are looking to refresh that. And that is. Any questions of the board for myself or Christy?
Thank you. We'll go ahead and start off with the board. Director Von Heater Leopold.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Excellent presentation.
Director Duarte.
On the, go back, I just, before questions. Now, just, yeah, on the passive purge requirement for new residential construction remodels. So we've got literature, standard specifications that are being made available to the
So for the passive purge systems, they are following the, I think it's the fire code. I want to say I can't remember the exact code, but there are several different systems that they design to. One is passive purge, so they just follow the fire code. We instruct them to follow that. Yes, it's existed for quite some time.
Excellent presentation. Thank you. Just a few questions. To just add to what Director Duarte had asked on the passive purge requirement, was there, like when you talk about the remodels, were they like built in certain years prior to that where that applies, or is it on all homes?
So it would be for homes that have fire sprinkler systems, right? So fire sprinkler systems, at least in the city of Dublin, became a requirement in 2009. There are some prior to 2009 that have fire sprinklers for other reasons, and so it's essentially from 2009 to now.
Okay.
If you have fire sprinkler systems, if you're doing a major remodel to the house and touching the plumbing system, it wouldn't be for like putting in a new faucet or something.
Sure,
like that.
sure.
Like a big remodel, we would work with the city to make sure that a passive purge system is installed.
Okay, great, thank you. And kind of to follow up on that, on the lead and copper rule, similar thing. Was there a year where the houses were built for remodels, or when there's things being done? Like, is there a certain, just out of curiosity, like a time frame that we're looking at?
Yes, so we're looking at houses that were built in the 1980s before lead was banned.
Okay.
It's a very specific subset of houses. We know the neighborhoods and the areas that we're going to survey to gain more interest.
So we'll be focusing on those houses built during that period of time frame. Okay. And then the last thing is when we talked about on the wastewater, and we talked about DSRSD having a reduction of 28%, I think is what you mentioned. Is that correct? In nutrient management, how do we compare to like other folks around the area here? Are we like ahead of the game there? Are we in line with others? Are we in the middle of the pack? Just kind of curious.
So what I was talking about was a pilot that we did in 2024, and the difficult part about us controlling the nutrient reduction in our process is we just don't have the instruments that are able to monitor that flow, and our flow isn't consistent. So when you have a properly designed system or improvement that is designed for nutrient removal, it will be more consistent. As to what other agencies are doing, I'd have to look at how their systems are designed.
And what I could add is that when you look at what we've accomplished today in terms of nutrient reduction, 60 to 80% during these dry weather months, we're way ahead of the pack. The unfortunate part, though, is the third watershed permit does not recognize those reductions that occurred before 2022. So in terms of our path forward, we still have work to do, but there is language in the permit that talks about, additional compliance time for agencies that pursue a recycled water pathway, and we are planning to work with the regional board on some of these areas of uncertainties. They've recognized it. We've recognized it of how to manage those years that are wet, or if there's changes in customer demands that limits how much recycled water we can provide.
So does the regional board, are they looking at a percentage reduction, or are they looking at a certain level that we need to achieve?
So they start that slide that Dan shared. They're looking bay wide, and then they go to the permit level, which is EBDA for us, and then how EBDA might allocate that load between its member agencies is still to be determined. But the water board is looking at it collectively at a bay level with the 40%.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director Halkett. All right. Thank you, staff. Great presentation. A lot of good information. And I don't know why it always feels like there's no good deed not punished. 2022 seems like we were doing really good. Yeah. Ahead of the game, but then it comes to us.
Everybody keeps changing the rules.
All right. With that, we'll move on to item 9. Item 9A, board items. 9A1, Joint Power Authority and Committee reports. We did have one meeting yesterday with DSRSD and the City of Dublin Liaison Committee. Director Von Heater Leopold joined me for that meeting. Director Von Heater Leopold, I'll defer to you if you'd like to cover it.
Sure. Well, of course, we went over our CIP plans to give them the information of what we're doing. And we also went over the Water Conservation Master Plan. They're very interested, of course, because we all know we get the question of the water supply issue all the time. That's what everybody always asks us, especially when the city is busy building more homes. So we're going to do an update of water supply after we get information from Zone 7 in April. We're going to do it. Their updates had to do with the development projects that are going on for them. There's really only 4 at the current time that are in pre-application mode. The Tesla Collision Center, which I still didn't get in my mind from her map exactly where that's going to be.
Sierra Court.
I thought it was ironic that Tesla's going to build a collision center. Does that acknowledge how many times they're colliding? Anyway, Dublin Hospitality and Sunflower Hill, and then a new In-N-Out Burger will be as you go down Grafton. In-N-Out wants to put the building right at the freeway at 580. And of course, the city wants it switched so that it's more to the central part of the Grafton Street Plaza. Still ongoing discussions with both of those. That was all they had, really. Did you have anything more other than our presentation?
There were a couple of good items that kind of indicated good collaboration for. One is I think it's Amador Valley? No, Village Parkway. Village Parkway. So Village Parkway, we've been talking about the joint collaboration for the road repair. So part of the conversation was making sure we're coordinated in information going out to the community and being proactive about that. The other one was a really nice one from a perspective of installation of smarter rain controllers or irrigation controllers. And I think they're installing like around 60 new ones. It cost a tune of $1.3 some million. And I believe it's all funded from external agencies or fund sources. The key there is proactive water management. And I think it's a topic that could be shared with the community. You know, a lot of times the community may react and respond to other things that are going to put a burden on the water system, so to say. This is more of an opportunity to say how we're being proactive in our installations. And they talked also about a lot of new park facilities. There was a new game or an old game that I became newly aware of.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what the game was, see? Anybody remember? It's a single pole, that's heavy soccer ball thing.
Futsal. Yeah,
Futsal.
the new parks.
Futsal. Okay.
The new parks, I think, in Francis Ranch are going to have 2 courts for that. I hope somebody includes instructions.
I will be the first that would need it. So beyond that, it was just a great information sharing, good collaboration between city council members and DSRSD board of directors. We had a lively conversation. I think we really gave staff a fun rodeo.
We also, actually, you mentioned it and Hazel picked up on it, so maybe the city will do it, is trying to do more joint outreach of the wonderful things we're doing here with recycled water and people being a little bit more comfortable with the upgrades they're doing, let alone what we do. And she sounded very positive, so maybe that'll go somewhere.
And I think there was another key piece of really flexing our need in our collaborative approach about our capital investments that may be potentially not in conflict, but needing to go in conjunction or not get hindered by another project that could be happening from a regional perspective. So it's not just water, it's not just the city, but it's the city's role in the regional bodies like transportation organizations. And so, kind of really forcing that level of collaboration beyond maybe what's happening and ensuring that us elected body are making sure it's happening as well. So it's in the best interest of the public. With that, we'll move on to item 9A2, submittal of written reports for day of service attended by Board of Directors. Written reports are due this evening. Does anyone have any reports of days of service events?
Two.
Okay.
I attended via Zoom, of course, the CASA board meeting on October 22nd. We went over the draft audit. We went over the annual conference, a recap of where we're going to be. The budget for the next conference is going to be significantly higher because we're going to a significantly more expensive place, the Esmeralda. So we'll see. At this point, there's no discussion about increasing dues. Thank heaven. I personally think it's probably close to what the limits are for a lot of the smaller agencies. So we shall see. And we also then went over our strategic planning and what had come out of it. And the final report, Adam had not finished the final report because our strategic plan was just at the end of September. But that'll be up and coming. And then Jessica closed out the session talking about what had happened with this year in legislation, the good and the bad, the ugly. And it was very disappointing to see the governor not sign the PFAS bill. And I have not personally heard, and neither has CASA for that matter. I mean, I'm sure they've heard, they just haven't relayed it to us, what his reason behind that was. I'm sure it was business oriented, because stopping putting PFAS in anything, as you saw on the list that Christy had, there's so many things that it's in, it's going to be bad for business for them to try and eliminate it completely. So anyway, that was CASA. The other meeting I had was the Alameda County Special Districts Board of Directors. Our next meeting is November 12th, and it's going to be at the Cherryland Community Center. HARD is going to do the presentation on all their parks. And then the one after that in January is at Oraloma. And they've got a new facility. I think it's just the main building, though they didn't do any improvements to the treatment facility, did they? Just the building, yeah. Anyway, it'd be better if anybody remembers or has been in the Oraloma boardroom. It is not much bigger than maybe across here. It allows for them, but very few guests. So that will be a nice upgrade for them. And then the annual dinner is March 19th. We're still looking at having it at the Wedgwood, even though the price went up. We all know the price went up for everything. And we discussed again for a number of times whom to allow to speak at our general meetings. Is it just our partner vendor members, or should it be anybody that wants to? We still can't come to a conclusion on that. We don't want our general membership meetings to be sales pitches on one hand. On the other hand, we want everybody to be informed about new things in the industry. So, and part of that is a problem because there are 14 different kinds of special districts. Maybe it's even more than that. And so, what industry do you address? And of course, anybody that comes to address isn't going to necessarily solve all the problems for the cemetery districts and the library districts and all that. So, again, we're still struggling with what to do there. Our dues went out. Thank you to Michelle and it did. Oh. Okay. So all the dues for this year has gone out, and everything comes into Pervy and Roland. So I don't know until the last minute who's paid for what. But anyway, the new dues notices did go out. And that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I think when you mentioned about who can speak, I think it was more about who can present.
Correct.
And I just don't want it to sound like there was any prevention of public speaking.
Oh, no. This is when somebody, although there is a big argument about whether or not those meetings need to be public, because we're not formally a public agency, so let's not go down that road. But it's the commercial vendors that are the issue.
All right. Moving on to an item, unless there's anybody else. Sorry. Okay. Item 9A3, request for new agenda items being placed on a future board or committee agenda. Anybody have any items? Nope. Moving on to item 9B, staff reports. Staff?
2 announcements. The next LAVMA board meeting is on Wednesday, November 19th. Staff is...
There's a delay request.
We will get back to the board on that date. Staff is planning to cancel the December 2nd board meeting due to a conflict, and we're still evaluating whether we'll need a special board meeting to replace that.
Do we have an idea if that's going to still happen maybe a day earlier? Or
if we did need to hold a special board meeting, it would be on December 1st. So we've placed a hold on the board's calendar.
And when were you planning on making a determination?
Soon. As soon as we know.
As soon as everybody gets all the calendar updates.
Yeah, or it makes it busy. All right, is that it? Very good. Moving on to, we already did 10, correct? No more item 10?
Correct.
Okay. Moving on to adjournment.
Yeah.
All right, this meeting is adjourned at 7:02 p.m. Have a great evening.
Rip it.